Okay, this is CGM. Looks like I've charted this one before. There's a really high volume up bar closed on the low. There's two bars there, and that's all professional selling in those two bars. There's obviously some announcement that was happening there, and the herd are buying. The herd always buy the announcement, a good announcement, and but somebody has to sell to them. And that is typically the smart money, or the professional money on the market, and who sell on up bars. They need upward pressure from the herd to distribute into, so they don't mark the price down against their own selling. And see, the volume's really high. It's closed on the low. If that was all buying, then even the previous bar, if that was all buying, then how could the next bar close lower? So there must have been a lot of selling in the previous bar as well, and then that one was all selling, and that's knocked it back, and then it's come off. I've drawn this channel, I've drawn some resistance lines here and support lines taken from these high volume bars from the past. There's one there from the past. So it's come off, and they've held it up here. It looks like it's gone up. I see the volume is really low now, and it's tried to go up on increased volume. We've got an up thrust, and we've got a no demand after that, and that's trying to up thrust this high volume, and that is a short setup there. So we've got our volume bar here, then we're waiting for it to, if we're going to trade short, and you wouldn't trade this one short, it's only a penny stock, don't even know if you can trade it short. But if it was a BHP or one of those when you're trading the 3-minute chart and you see this sequence set up, you'd be going short, because you got your high volume bar there. It's collapsed. They brought it back up to complete distribution, which tried to get up, and it's full of trapped holders in there now, and it's not going to get through there. You get the up, they up thrust it, and no demand, and up bar on the lightest volume in 3 bars, and they're not trying to push through there. And you could short there, just place your short order straight under there, and you get filled as it breaks back down through. I might just try and get rid of that bar there so you can see the volume. And it's come down again on light volume. Volume's increased here, but still it's it's 3 million shares of a 5 cent, 6 cent stock now. But anyway, it's gone down on increased volume. It's found a bit of support at these previous lows here, and it's closed off the low, so there's some buying, a bit of buying coming in. But then as it tries to go up, see it up thrusts, tries to go up on less volume, and then the next bar down confirms the weakness. There's not a lot of selling pressure on there now, but there's not a lot of buying as well in there, because you're getting unless smart money is supporting the price, unless they respond to the low selling pressure, it'll just keep falling, it'll just keep rolling over. So I've drawn this downtrend channel here, and so probably you've got a couple of support lines. Well, that's your last pivot low, so that may provide some support at the 5 cents. But we want to see smart money buy on down bars and sell on up bars, so we want to see some climactic volume now appear on a down bar to tell us that they're accumulating or taking large positions in the stock. So we want to see really high volume like this, or some sort of ultra high volume on a down bar, and with the next bar then closing higher and then testing within that bar to let us know they've started reaccumulating the stock, because that takes a while. That's a lot of selling in there, and if they've sold out of the stock, then it takes a while to reaccumulate. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that one. There's nothing there to tell me this can't drop lower at the moment. and you are in a downtrend. You've started the downtrend over here. So, but anyway, that's CGM. So we just have to keep an eye on it at the moment. But I wouldn't want to be long the stock at the moment. I know nothing about it. So if you think it's worth $1 million or $1, or don't let me stop you buying it for. But for me, that's still that's started a downtrend, and I wouldn't want to be long with that stock yet until it started an uptrend, I suppose. You've also got, and if you were speculating that it might have a bit of an uptrend there, well, that's broken. I suppose you can have a look at that line there, but you're really starting to, I think you're starting to clutch at straws then, unless it really does start supporting there. That's very unproven. For me, I just wouldn't want to be long the stock at the moment until it started making some higher highs and higher lows, and I'd want to see some sign that they're accumulating to let me know that they're going to take on the supply, because you're going to need some really good volume to get through here and bust above that, all that trapped holders in that level. You're not going to get through on all this little bitty volume through that area. It's not going to happen, because you just get sold into by trapped holders in there who just want out. So we're looking for some high volume or climactic volume down bar who signal that possibly there might be the start of some reaccumulation. Yeah, but anyway, that's CGM. Okay, this is MML, and I'll see if I can put a trend channel on there somewhere. I'll move that over if that lets me. Right. It's not going to let me do it. Well, at least I can put a trend line on there and see if we can get. So that gives us something to look at as well. Levels of support. We've got well, we're at $6, so we don't want to know about. That's your highest volume bar there, and once it broke above that high volume, they tested it. The test was successful, and up she goes. We had narrow spread down bar there, and the price started going up, so we could have bought. So we saw some testing there. They broke the last, each pivot they broke, and they come back and test on low volume. Take it up, take it up. It's not really telling me anything at the moment other than let's move sideways. Well, we've got a recent lot of volume. Apart from this bar, our next highest volume bar is this one here, so we can mark the high of that bar. That's possible support. 615. You can see when it's come down towards this bar, it's come down hard, then reverse, so there's some buying there. It's gone up on high volume, but it never broke this high volume. So there must have been some distribution now happening at the top here, because you start seeing it starting to up thrust and get this particularly nasty one, which is really light volume. It's up thrust, so that's a pure stop hunt there. It's collapsed after that. I've had strength coming in. It's a narrow spread down bar, so some buying coming in. I even tested a little bit of sorts, but as it goes up back to this level, it tries to get through there on no demand. The volume gets less and less, and when it does kick in, the result is it gets taken out. So that looks like a bit of distribution happening at the top there. Now it's still, technically, it's still in an uptrend, so, but it's just getting some weak bars up here at the top here now. That is a bit of a problem. The last high volume bar, what did we say? We saw this one, then we had the one after that. What was that one? So the high of that bar is 695, which we just broken down from. And we've got the next. So we had a high volume up and brought it up. Come back to test, but we never really had any low supply testing in that bar. A really light volume. There's always been a lot of volume down around this area, and we want to see less selling pressure down at less volume down in this area. So we haven't really seen that, so that's still moving sideways. But if it broke this 615 and then try to come back up on no demand, then you'd be looking at shorting it. But if it can, I'd be looking at this uptrend line here for some possible strong signs. There's definitely some buying coming in this last bar. It's gone down on increased volume, but closed well off the high. But yeah, at the moment, I'm suspicious now that they're distributing in the top here, but it's just not that clear at the moment. We'll just maybe have a look at the daily. So MML. I'll look at this really high volume. This is our highest volume for 200 bars, and it's broken below that. So that is looking. Look, you got really high volume down here. It's a down bar. It's closed up, so they're accumulating there. Been acting very erratically at the moment. And you see as you get up into this area, see the really low volume up bars, really low volume. It's going up on pretty light volume. So there's nothing telling us that it just looks like they're holding it up to distribute. That's what it looks like to me, but it's very erratic. Even the volume's very erratic, so it's very hard to read. But if I just look at the highest volume bar, it's that one, and it's broken below there. And this one's come down now really hard to read. You don't like these, when you see these really wide spreads coming down, you don't like them, especially when they gap, because it means the price isn't being supported at all. The next bar's gone up on up thrust, so it's up thrust this bar, this weak bar, come off. And there's not a lot of selling pressure there at the moment, but yeah, I just wouldn't want to be trading that, I don't think. I'll have a look, hang on. Where's my pro real time? That's not speaking to me either at the moment. So I can't even put, it's very hard for me even to put a trend channel on there because there's nothing really there for me to put a channel on. I suppose I can try something like that. No, it's going sideways there, and really getting some really weak bars up here. Look, really low volume up bars, no demand. You're getting a lot of no demand, or really light volume bars. You do get a high volume bar here, but very shortly after that you get no demand as it tries to go up higher. And then once they break that really high volume bar there, then you know it had to be selling there. They're selling in the top there. That's what I think. And but it's behaving very erratically, so I'd probably just look at the weekly for a longer term short entry if it were to break down and try to retest and put in some really weak bars. If it were to break past our highest volume bar here. There's nothing about that that tells me I want to be long that stock at the moment. It's just not very clear at the moment. But I suspect that they're distributing in the top here, and that will come off. And I think they started probably in these two bars here. And this is, if you start seeing this cup or dome mushroom formation around the top here, you start getting a bit suspicious, because we have a lower high there as well. Yeah, I'd probably just want to look at another chart. I don't think, because it's not clear that they are distributing there, but I think they are. When it will become clear is if it breaks this bar. If it breaks the low of this bar and tries to go up on some weak bars, then you'd be looking to short it. But at the moment, you don't have any real entries long or short at the moment. But I think they're distributing. There's some distribution going on there. But anyway, that's MML. Okay, this is WHN, which we've been following for a little bit. So we had our high volume up bar, but it's broken down, so there must have been selling in that bar. We're looking for it to test and confirm, but it didn't do that. It just broke down. So there's obviously selling within the top of that bar, and that's knocked it back. It's come back on light volume, so that was okay. But the next bar is an up bar, but on less volume, and it's up thrust into the body of the previous bar. It's not really a true up thrust, but it's the fact that it's closed on the low, the fact that it's an up bar, the fact that it's very low volume as an up bar makes it sort of a no demand type bar. Even though the spread's wide, it's closed on the low, so that's actually quite weak there. And so if I just have a look at the daily chart. So we had a high volume bar come up. It's tried to hold the 5 cents, but never really gave us an indication, proper indication that it wanted to hold that, and then it finally broke. So we know then they're holding out up just to do a bit of distribution. It's come off. It's found some support at the 4.3, and it's tried to go back up. I've got some volume kick in as it's tried to go back up, but it's sort of a bit of an up thrust, not quite an up thrust, but it has up thrust at 5 cents, and then it's come off. So there's selling. It's encountering supply up in that area from trapped holders. It's come back down on less volume, come back down on increased volume, but it's closed off the low. And it's tried to go up a bit on less volume, but closed on the low. So it's not acting strong at the moment. You've still got this uptrend channel here that I'd still be looking at, and I'd still say if it were to break down from the 4.3, you've got the 3.8 again, or somewhere if we saw some bullish response on this green trend line here from this old trend channel, we could have a look at that. But early again, I'd be looking at the weekly chart, and the weekly chart isn't looking that strong at the moment. We've got support at the 4 cents, which is the bottom of our high volume bar, and it could be that they just want to move it sideways and accumulate sideways. We don't know. So while it holds the 4 cents, we can just see if we get some sideways consolidation within that bar, would probably be a good thing. But really, it's not giving us a long entry yet. It's not giving us a short entry either, but it's not giving us a long entry. Not that you'd short a 5 cent stock, but if you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's a no-go for me at the moment until we see some proper testing at some level and confirmation on the weekly chart, and we just don't have that at the moment. That's why you don't go straight ahead and buy these high volume up bars. You know, news is good, yes, but if the herd are buying and somebody's selling to them, typically the guys who are selling to them are the guys you need to be buying for it to keep going up. Because once the herd buy, they become holders, and holders don't contribute to the share price anymore. It's only the guys that are continually transacting the price that move it up, and that's the smart money, the professional money on the market. That's how they buy. They buy, you know, they buy continually because they have to buy piecemeal, and that feeds the price up if they're bullish. But we do have the top of that bar is a high volume bar, so that's the 3.8. So it could, I would say that it's very likely that we'd see that 3.8, but we've got the 4 cents there. If that fails, we got the 3.8, where there definitely is a bit of sign of accumulation in that area there, and there's not much lower than that. But we do have a little bit of an uptrend, but it's a very shallow uptrend. So I mean, it's at 2.5 cents at the moment, which is, you know, nearly half of 50%. So that doesn't really help us a lot. But I'd be watching the 4 cents and the 3.8 cents. See if we get some narrow spread bars testing probably 3.8 cents. It would be good. So we got this high volume bar here, and that really never tested on the weekly chart. They broke through there, but they never really tested that high volume. That's pretty high volume. So I think that's the area it's going to come back down into. And probably if we saw some narrow spread down bars like these ones here on really light volume, that would might give us a clue that they're bullish at that level, especially if the next bars close higher and confirm. So yeah, so we got high volume there. That was never tested. I think they'll bring it back and test in that area at the 3.8. That's what I suspect now will happen. We were hoping this area here at 5 cents would hold, but it hasn't. So I think they're going to come back to the 3.8 and test in that area. So we can have a look and see what the bars look like when we get there. But that's WHN. This is LYC, and I've just got a little Wyckoff channel there connecting these two lows, first two pivot highs and the intervening low, and it came out of there for a little bit, but it's come and found a bit of support at the bottom of that channel roughly. I've seen the volume has been very high, so we've had some very climactic action. Then the spread narrows, so some buying coming in, it gets very low again. The volume is really high in this area now, and then the next bar springs up, so that's a 2-bar sort of reversal there. So there must have been a lot of buying, absorbing that selling in this bar. We wouldn't have known it at the time. The fact that the next bar sprung like it is means there must have been a lot of buying in that bar. Then as it's tried to go up, still in very high volume, penetrate through this high volume areas over here, and it started on that bar. It's found resistance and it's closed on the low. So even though there's a bit of buying coming in at the bottom there, there's still a lot of supply present. They test it there, then the next bar is a no demand. It's low. The test fails. We get a bit of a no demand bar there, or a definite no demand bar. But we have some climactic action here to watch now. So I would imagine they'll come back and test within the low of this bar at the 86-85 cents. If they're bullish, or if they want to start accumulating, because it's been an extended downtrend, they will try and attempt to accumulate within the range of this bar or even lower. Also, when we're in a downtrend, we pay more attention to our weak bars. You see, we had some pretty weak ones. See this really high volume up that bar, comparatively narrow spread compared to the volume, and that was all selling, professional selling, and that's what knocked this market back. and when you start getting no demand bars appearing, which is these narrow spread up bars all the way down, you could have shorted all the way down. Because if you're in a downtrend, you give more weight to your weak bars at the top of it, especially if you're at the top of a channel. Probably look at some support levels. You got one there at the $1.76 roughly, $1.75. Some resistance levels, sorry. You've got the top of that bar at $1.40. It'll have resistance between $1.19 and $1.27, which is a high-low close of that bar. So I think it might take a bit of time. If that is the start of accumulation, then it can take a time going sideways while they complete distribution, complete their buying, and then they give us a sign that they want to take it up with some testing and confirmation. But really, you want to clear now. Your longer term entries, you really want to be clearing this really high volume bar here for a longer term long, and that when it clears that bar, you'll have started a bit of an uptrend, and then we can start looking at our strong bars. You know, in an uptrend we can give more weight to our strong bars and start looking for long setups. But at the moment, we don't really have a long entry there, because even though we've got some buying coming in here, there's still a lot of supply, and we want to see that supply absorbed, taken out, and then the price start moving up, and then some testing just to check on top of that area. And then we can, if we have a bit of an uptrend in place and we've got away from this downtrend, we can start looking for some long entries. But that might take some weeks to set up properly if they are long or longer, because they might just go sideways. There's definitely some stopping volume coming in there, but that might just mean that it's going to move sideways for a little bit, because you've got a lot of weakness now behind you, and that's all got to be absorbed. So we want to see a bit of an uptrend started first, and then we can start looking and paying more attention to our strong bars. But at the moment, we've got to be particularly sensitive to our weak bars, especially if they start popping up at the top of this downtrend channel here, because then you start getting short setups, and if you're long, you don't want to be looking at short setups. So yeah, for me, I think we need to start putting in a higher low at least to start with, and then get away from these this downtrend, and then we can start looking at some longer term long entries. Anyway, that's LYC.